what are the top few that comes in your mind because you are in this game since years, right?
Yeah, it really depends on your strategy, your product, and who's the customer you're trying to reach.
How do you see Walmart coming up? How do you see Walmart, and what do you think? What do you suggest to a seller?
Well, look, I think Walmart presents a lot of opportunity. I think that Walmart's probably like 15 years behind Amazon where they're at the maturation of the marketplace.
Hello, guys. Welcome to the Rich Sellers Podcast. Today, I am joined in by two of the most famous guests in the Amazon space, two of the OGs in the Amazon space. So we have John with us, and Chad is going to join us along the way. So, John, before we start, why won't you introduce yourself a little bit to our audience?
Yeah, man, my name is John Lawson. I am the CEO of a company called Colder Ice Media, and we help small and medium business, primarily e-commerce sellers, with marketing, multi-channel selling, and all
Mhm.
things e-com.
That's great. That's great. So, John, our topic for today is obviously how an Amazon seller can scale to where they are doing from where they're doing to multiple sales channels. There are a lot of options now open right now. Start if we just talk about it, it goes completely like from Walmart. We have sellers starting their own Shopify stores, scaling in that way. So a lot of options are there. Okay, but when you talk about multiple sales channel, what are the top few that comes in your mind because you are in this game since years, right?
Yeah, it really depends on your strategy, your product, and who's the customer you're trying to reach. I mean, if it is a unique kind of product that you guys make and you're building a brand around that product, then
Hmm.
I would definitely, encourage you to have your own store, your own Shopify store. And then, of course, you have other channels that you can spread to. Like you said, you have the Walmarts of the world getting into it, but that's
Yeah.
not the only game in town. Of course, you got the eBays from old school. And believe it or not, eBay still sells a lot of stuff. If it's something that is in house that you guys are making, definitely want to look
Hmm.
at Etsy. Etsy's a growing opportunity. And then if you don't really think about it, you have to kind of look at social media also as a channel,
Hmm.
right? So whether that be the TikToks or the Facebooks and even the Instagrams of the world, I look at social media as a separate channel for sales. So there's a lot of opportunity out here. Amazon is, of course, for many of us, a very primary channel. It accounts for probably 50%
Hmm.
of all
Yeah.
transactions on the internet. But that means there's 50% out there that's left on the table, and you could be picking up some more of those crumbs.
Got it. Got it. Exactly. Yeah, I think that was completely spot on. So we got a couple of clients in our advertising agency, and they're doing like 10, 25 million a year, and they come and ask us that, okay, Sammy, suggest us what should we do now. This is what we are doing right now. Where should we start scaling? Should we go for Shopify, and how complex it can be, right? So would you like to go around a little bit about if an Amazon seller wants to jump into Shopify and establish it as another channel of their sales? What are the first, what can be the most complex parts to it? Then we can move around on the other things to it.
Yeah, absolutely. The most complex part is you have to recognize, hey, you're paying Amazon 15% of all your, transactions right off the
Mhm.
top. They get 15%. Why do they get 15%? Because they basically do all the marketing to bring people to your store, right? So they have
Yeah.
millions and millions of customers, and they'll put your products in front of those customers for them to make their purchases. And that's why you pay the 15%. That's why it's called a marketplace, because they do the marketing, right? But then, of course, they double dip on you, right? Because not only do you have to pay them the 15%, then you've got to
Yeah.
do advertising, which is going to be another 10 or 15%, well, maybe five, let's say 5
Mhm.
to 10 more percent is going in back into marketing. So all told, and that's before they, dip into your, pick, pack, and ship, right? So the deal is Amazon is really in as a quote partner with you for sometimes 50, 60% of all proceeds, you know?
Yeah.
And you've got to really think about what does that money look like if I'm going to create a Shopify store. So you want to have that same mentality inside of your brain that we're going to do at least 15% of
Mhm.
our money is going to go into marketing that product. So that means you're going to have to run and bring your own traffic to your store. Just because you put something up on Amazon, you might get some traffic simply because you
Yeah.
know the keywords and you've got the audience. If you do that on,
Mhm.
Shopify, good luck. Nobody's coming to your store. Nobody cares because there's no traffic. So you're responsible for driving your own traffic. So the first thing you really want to think about when it comes to putting together your store is the marketing of the store. How are we going to bring people to our store so that they understand that this is an option for them when they're looking for XZ product?
Yeah.
15%.
Yeah, that's high numbers, and especially with the new fees that Amazon is increasing with storage and removal fees, it's getting more tough for sellers now.
Yes.
And
Amazon is a beast, man. And look, the one thing, hey, let me tell you guys, I was on Amazon when they started Amazon, right? I was a large seller on eBay. And when they decided they wanted to create the marketplace, they came to the large sellers on eBay's platform and said, hey, would you beta test this thing? Right. And so that means I've been there since like 2005. So what is here's the thing that I will tell you. It has never gotten cheaper. It never gets any cheaper. As a matter of fact, what you're paying today is the cheapest it's going to be going forward. Literally. So think about it. This is a beast, man. So you're always running and running and running, trying to get better profitability. That's just part of this game. If you're in e-commerce, welcome. That's what we do.
yeah, exactly. I think e-commerce game has been running since with the main focus on increasing the average order value and how much cheap that they can get their customer, like the customer acquisition cost, the lowest that they can get, the most profitable they're going to be, and what is the lifetime value, right?
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
here comes one point. Yeah, I think here comes one point where with Amazon, sellers are very free and they have time to not look at their logistics so much. But when we talk about Shopify, what are the options do we have? Because I think we have heard about Amazon. We can use Amazon FBA with Shopify. Not sure how much profitable that is. Would you like to share some voice on
You
that as
know,
well?
I mean, here's the thing, and it could be just because I'm old school. That could be it. But knowing the process of shipping to me is a valuable asset to have
Hmm.
in your wheelhouse. So as you grow, if you can bring more of, especially when you go to multiple channels, right? If you can bring some of that, at least the part that we're fulfilling on these other channels
Hmm.
in house, then you can save a lot of the overhead costs of having but I get it. I get it. A lot of people are just, they want to be hands off. They want to be lazy about it, right? They don't want to have to think about it. I get it, but you're paying a very big premium for that, right? And God, I don't want to talk about 2020, but if we ever have something like that again, right? And you guys remember when Amazon shut down the warehouse for several weeks where you couldn't send
Hmm.
any product in and they couldn't fulfill product because they were so busy trying to keep up with PPE, right? The one thing that they did is they turned all of us that had third party shipping or in house shipping, I'm sorry, they turned us on and turned everybody else off. So while everybody else was shrinking, we were growing like massively simply because we were one of the only ones in our category that was able to, do our own fulfillment. So if you're going in, into these other markets, I think one of the growth strategies should be possibly learning how to ship. Hey,
Hey,
Chad,
Chad, how are you
Hey,
doing?
I'm sorry for being late.
you're right on time.
Not a problem. Yeah, Chad. So we are just talking about how we can manage multiple streams of sales along with Amazon. You know, before we jump into the topic, why don't you do a little bit introduction into yourself?
Just an intro. Let's see. I've been in ecom for probably as long as John at this point. We're both OGs in the space. So I started in 2007, first private label seller. Then I started the Prosper Show with a few other folks. Then a Stubana software company. We sold that, and now I've been building an AI product to change pricing dynamically, kind of like Uber surge pricing for Amazon brands. That's what I've been really excited about. But I'm here to help and support and see how I can drop as much value as possible today.
Yeah, we are excited to have you here. So, Chad, we were just talking about and discussing with John about how Amazon sellers, let's assume who are doing 10, 25 million a year, they are thinking to scale to other channels and increase their sales. Now, we thought of this and we thought that, yes, Amazon, it's easy because they have the logistics and everything. But when it comes to Shopify, obviously, we have to build the trust first in terms of the customers, that because in Amazon we are paying the premier because of the Amazon's trust that the Amazon already have. But when it comes to Shopify, logistic is a very important part that comes here, right? So would you like to share some points on that?
Well, look, I think Amazon's a great place to start, but probably not a great place to end. I think that there's also catalog strategy that could be had around what you want to have on Amazon versus off Amazon. I'm happy to share more about that, but it's very strategic because you can actually make a wrong decision, right? You can essentially sell your product to Target, and now Target represents 1% of your revenue, but then now you can't change pricing on Amazon because now your pricing is anchored to Target's pricing. So there's a lot of implications that need to be thought through around your multi-channel strategy.
Good point.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was spot on. So how do you see Walmart coming up? How do you see Walmart, and what do you think? What do you suggest to a seller if they are thinking to go in Walmart on as their first choice? Chad, do you want to take it?
Well, look, I think Walmart presents a lot of opportunity. I think that Walmart's probably like 15 years behind Amazon where they're at in the maturation of the marketplace. And I would also be very picky about what I put on Walmart versus Amazon because of this UPC issue where Amazon could scrape off-channel products and they really want you to be at price parity. So I'm focused on price. I definitely love to diversify for sure, but I don't want to diversify at the risk of cannibalizing sales for sure. I would love to hear what John has to say.
And on any of those channels, right?
It could be eBay, it could be Walmart, right. It could be Target, it could be anywhere.
Right.
Which is why you start seeing like diapers. You start seeing like diapers. There's a 36-pack Huggies, and there's a 12-pack, and there's a 16-pack, and all of these SKUs have different designs on them and different UPC codes, so that it's hard for these companies to figure out what's the per unit cost of the diaper.
Yeah.
You know, this is interesting because, you know, I go into Dollar General now. And so you used to go into Dollar General at one point, and there would be all these off-name brands. There wouldn't be any name brand. And now you go in there, and these people are creating, or these companies are creating SKUs simply for Dollar General. And you can't find that same SKU, like you said, the package, the size of the package, the number of items in the package is completely different than if I go into Walmart. So I find that interesting. So talk more to that, Chad, because I'm trying to figure out, would you actually, if I'm building a brand, let's say I built this brand on, you know, Amazon, and I'm going to, let's say, a Walmart, would it be like taking the same brand necessarily, or would you actually create another brand of the same kind of product?
Yeah, I think it depends on resources and resource allocation. I definitely don't like having multiple brands because that's more social media platforms to manage, a lot more headache to manage. So I like to make things easy. So I think like LaCroix is that example. You might have your best LaCroix hero product. It might be the lime. I don't know if that's a lime drink, but like a lime seltzer. And then It could be that you have a different case pack off channel, or you have different flavors off channel. So people explore and discover your product on Amazon, but then they want the exclusives off Amazon. So you take an example like Hoka. So I have very flat, I have something called overpronation. I have flat feet and very wide feet. And so Hoka is on Amazon, but it's like their basic shoes are on Amazon. That's where I found out about them. But then you go to the website and they've got all their exclusive drops that you can't get on Amazon, different color varieties and different exclusive collaborations that they have, and even some of the latest, newest product they have put on Amazon. So I think there's like a feeder system, like a gateway drug to a brand that you can adopt depending on what category that you sell in.
And then you're only dealing with, like you were saying, the one brand in social media, getting people into the brand. And if they discover you here on, and that's the other thing too, no matter where people discover you, a lot of times they're going to Google it or they're going to ask in social to see where else you are.
Exactly.
Again, it becomes easier for the brand as well to get an exit from it, right? If they're not managing different brands, if it is under the same brand, it is easier for them to also get exit of it.
Absolutely.
So
let's talk about a little bit about if you got multiple streams, that looks good, doesn't it? It's like,
it does look good.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I've got it's like, so we've got the Amazon brand, we've got our e-commerce brand on our own site, and we've got maybe this on this other marketplace and this other marketplace.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe we have to discuss a little bit on that as well. But we can also talk a little bit about the marketing strategies and connecting different platforms, because we have heard about Amazon being partnered with Pinterest and all. And also there have been a lot of Amazon being kind of confined with their data, right? But now it looks like they are releasing a lot to sellers as well. Also, there are platforms which now gives us the data. If you're running Google ads, they can tell us how many add to carts, how many purchases we are getting. Not so much easier as Facebook ads or Facebook ad pixels or Google tags that we can measure. But when it comes to measurement and balancing these multiple streams, let's assume we are an Amazon brand. We also got a Shopify presence, and we are bringing on 20% of our revenue source from Shopify as well. So is there a way that we can integrate and find connection between the two audience? Because it might happen that we are running Facebook ad and people are clicking on that ad. And since Amazon has more trust, people generally tends to buy from Amazon, though they have been educated by the ad through Facebook. Are you guys aware of anything that is available right now related to this?
John, you want to start? I'm happy to.
No, I'm gonna let you start. All I'll say like triple whale, but I don't know. But go ahead.
Yeah. I think that there's some companies that are working on like the attribution problem, like Triple Whale, definitely more so for Shopify. I believe that there was like Pitchify or whatever that company is called. They just launched a better attribution for Amazon and Google partnership. But at the end of the day, I think that a lot of these companies and even ad agencies specifically are managing to the metrics that Amazon wants you to measure to. So essentially I call it the Amazon matrix. And so a lot of the metrics that people manage to are designed to keep most brands asleep, misinformed, to keep them maybe making less money, especially since a lot of these metrics are revenue embedded metrics. And to me, I think that we're shifting to a time where people need to be focusing a lot more on profit, not on revenue. And so in terms of driving off-channel traffic to Amazon, like you're essentially playing into the strategy of what Amazon wants you to be doing. Amazon wants people to go onto their platform, onto Amazon, and now there's softwares out there that allow companies to do just that, and to do it at a point where they're not making money. And to me, I can't rally around that.
Yeah, I think I would completely agree with you, because we have seen brands who are completely going off the records and spending 200-300% in ACoS just to get their customer inside the door. And they are okay to get at a loss for 1 year complete straight, because they are focusing a lot more in their a repeat purchase and lifetime value of that customer, and not focusing so much on the profits in the front end. Maybe that's their strategy, because if we get into supplements, there is no way we can get below 100% ACOS in the starting, right?
Hmm.
So there are ways out of it, I think.
Yeah,
John, you were
so
saying
sure,
something, right?
sure. Like
Yeah.
supplements, for example, great, right? That's
Yeah. Hmm.
you have new buyers that are joining that are discovering your product, and the goal is to get them into a subscription service, right, through Subscribe and Save.
Yeah.
But I was on the phone with a client at Profasee, and they make foot fungal cream.
Hmm.
And what are they doing? They're doing Subscribe and Save. You look at their metrics, all those customers are churning off, like they're getting the discount on the first time to buy,
Hmm.
Subscribe and Save, and they go in and cancel on the back end, and they think that they somehow have a better lifetime value, but most people are just buying it for the short-term win and then churning off of the Subscribe and Save thereafter. So I think it's just very important. And Amazon now becomes the place where you have the lowest price with the best coupon, and everyone's running deals, but for what purpose? What's your intention behind that? Why is this person offering Subscribe and Save? They don't even know. They're just sort of buying
Yeah.
into this idea that, well, everyone else is doing Subscribe and Save, I'm going to do that too.
Hmm.
And they're ended up cutting into their profitability for a long time. A long time. They're paying way more on the top of that funnel, and they don't even have a bottom.
Totally.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. And Chad, let's talk about a little bit about pricing strategies. Okay, so when you talk about pricing, because you guys are kind of the beta testers of Amazon, right? When Amazon started, so when you talk about this, let's assume you're a brand selling on Amazon at a certain price, and you also list yourself in Shopify, your own store, where you have to drive the traffic, right? So, how do you differentiate the pricing strategy? And if we just combine these two platforms, what should be the pricing range, or should we go in a different price range?
So there's a lot to unpack there, but I'll start by saying that
Hmm.
I'm going to share with you what Profasee does, not to sell it, to just share what we do, which is
Yeah.
Profasee dynamically changes price with the intent to maximize profit without hurting
Hmm.
your BSR rank on Amazon. So we work with only private label sellers. So there's tons of repricers out there that help people resell product on Amazon,
Hmm.
and they compete for the buy box. We don't live and die by the buy box. We live and die by the search engine ranking page on Amazon. That being said, when you're on the SERP, everyone just marks their price to market typically, and they're like, oh, this guy's at $11.99 for this lighter. I'm going to sell it for $11.79. And they leave their price there, and it just sits there forever. And
Hmm.
to me, just like Uber has something called Uber Surge pricing, or Airbnb has something called smart pricing, we believe that pricing should be dynamic. And we believe in the fact that you can align value to customers by changing pricing at different times of the day with the sole intent of making more money. So there's a lot of value leakage happening on Amazon. Now, to double click into that, is the value leakage happening at your current price? Does that mean you should go up in price? That's not actually the most optimal decision. Sometimes the most optimal decision is to go down in price. What do I mean by that? Well, if you go down in price on Amazon, now you're increasing your demand, you're increasing your unit velocity, and by lowering price, you might offset that lowered price by increasing more profit dollars by your sell-through velocity that you're selling. And has a knock-on effect, which means that maybe your rank increases, it improves, so that you're actually winning, you're not having to rent ad space on Amazon. So we have so the only way to actually figure this out, though, is I used to do this manually. I was turning around my own e-commerce business, figuring out pricing myself, is that you need to actually, there's so many signals and so much noise on Amazon, and you have so many competitors, and things are moving so quickly. The only way to do this is to leverage AI to do this, to make these decisions for you, to sift through all the noise and find the truth in the signals to figure out what is the right and most optimal decision to maximize profits. And that's what we've been working on.
Wait a
Yeah, I
minute.
think.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on. How did you do that manually then?
Yep. So the way that we would do it manually, and I'm happy to share, is just background. Like, I sold Stubana in April of 21. After I sold that company, I started really helping out my e-commerce business. And it was struggling. We sell commoditized vacuum
Right.
filters and coffee filters. So we started I was like, well, everyone's focusing on ad spend,
Yeah.
but that's what everyone wants you to focus on: off Amazon traffic, figuring out your keywords. There's 100 million things that people tell you should focus on Amazon, but nobody actually is telling you to focus on like actual pricing, because nobody knows really. And there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Hmm.
So the way that I was doing it before Profasee was I had a spreadsheet and I had
Mhm.
ASIN tabs at the bottom. And for every decision that we made, we knew our net margin, we know our ad spend, we know our BSR, we have all of our competitors flowing into a spreadsheet. We would make a change and see how that impacts
Mm.
on a daily basis. How does it impact? And we'd pressure test our assumptions. And we'd say, okay, how does that impact our profit? How does that impact our BSR? Did the competitor make a change after we made a change? So it's super time consuming. And I was like, okay, there has to be a better way. Everybody here in Miami was focusing on Bitcoin and NFTs. And I was like, dude, AI is the future. And this is before ChatGPT made that mainstream.
Right.
And so I've been really focusing on, okay, let's pressure test the assumptions. Let's put it into a spreadsheet. Let's figure it out. Let's build a muscle around it. And then after we built that muscle internally around the spreadsheet, then we started deploying Profasee, using data science models and machine learning models to maximize profit automatically for brands.
Got it.
Okay. So it takes care of the competition price and looks that as well, right?
We reverse ASIN look up your
Okay.
competitors, and then we pull the competitors' BSR, their price. We pull everything we possibly can. We enrich the data with third-party data, and yeah.
Okay. So is there a limit of how much the AI increases the price, or how much decreases, and how much is the frequency of doing that?
So if you're doing this internally, and the same thing at Profasee is you set up your min price and your max price, and you make sure you know all your costs associated with that's happening on Amazon.
Okay.
So you have your min price, the lowest price you're willing to give us, the max price, the highest price. Sometimes you can just leave it uncapped. Some people will say, hey, I want the min price to be this, leave the top uncapped, and they give us the landed cost, and we do the rest. It's like hitting the yes button at Staples.
Yeah, I think that is powerful, man.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
And for those that can't afford Profasee, right, the idea is to start thinking about your price. Everybody is thinking about your spend. Everyone is thinking about keywords.
Yeah.
And there's been lots of studies, even Harvard studies, that show a 1% increase in price can increase your profit by 14%, just a 1% increase. So now that you have that information, the next fundamental step is, okay, how do I centralize pricing internally? How do I connect the dots internally to form this muscle to have pricing inform my ads, have pricing inform my finance team, connect everything together and align everybody around your pricing strategy so that you can actually monetize it.
Got it.
Now, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sammy.
Yeah, no,
This is,
I think
it's
John,
fascinating.
we have heard. Yeah, I think we have heard about the Amazon side of thing, right? Now, John, you have been handling a lot of your clients on e-commerce, right? So I think we should also listen about the e-commerce side of thing. So when it talks about the pricing, there are a lot of things, right? The product cost, then the advertising cost, and the logistics cost. So what are the kind of metrics that we look at in the pricing strategies, and the margins, and how much percentage should we spend in ads? What is the limit of it? How do you go by this?
Well, you know what? I mean, he just kind of, when he said that, just do that everywhere. Because what my thing was about to say is like, how do you, is there a way to take this outside of Amazon? Because Amazon gives you so much in terms of, data. So when you make this
Yeah.
change, you're looking at all of these things, the bestseller rank, how many times do I get put at the, top of the search? We don't get that as quickly on the other side because we don't have that much data, So all the data I'm dealing with most of the times is internal. So we're looking at all of these things, but we're not able to pull in all of our competitor data the way you can on Amazon. And that's always been a problem. You're making, or not a problem, but I mean, you're making more estimations than actual facts. and moving based on those facts. So same thing, just not as much visibility.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I think probably Chad can find some way to integrate that at e-commerce as well.
Chad's already working on
Or
it. Look,
yeah, okay.
that's
Okay.
great.
Guys, since we are already past 30 minutes in the podcast, so before we end the podcast, Chad, where can people find you?
Well, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm pretty present on LinkedIn and Twitter. I've been posting recently. You can sign up for the Black Box newsletter at Profasee.
Hmm.
My personal email is chat@profasee.com. That's PROFASEE.com. That's profits you could see. Play on words there. But yeah, I'm around and want to certainly help the community thrive, and that's really where I've been focusing my attention for the past 15 to 20 years.
That's
And
great. That's great. Yeah, yeah, John.
yeah, I'm for myself, man. Colder Ice, COLDERICE. Just look it up anywhere and you'll find me.
That's great. That's great. So thank you so much, guys, for joining today. I mean, we have got so many nuggets today that was so powerful for the audience and also for me. And we should keep on doing this kind of podcast where we get to share all this kind of value and knowledges, right? Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining. I
Yeah,
think
thanks for
we
having
should do
us.
this podcast again. Yeah.